Okay, we're back. Talking about responsibility versus abdication. Slide number 11. I introduced this. And how we see responsibility is as the foundational basis for the understanding of natural law. Wanting to know, because we want to be better, we want to learn, we want to grow, we want to improve, we want to evolve. Evolution is driven through desire to evolve. Ultimately, we are going to, again, be wiped clean if we decide collectively we don't want to evolve. It's a choice. If we say, no, we don't want to evolve, then destruction ultimately results, chaos and destruction and death result, and then we're given another chance to do it right. And that process keeps going and going and going and going until we finally say yes to creation, and we say no to the dark force of opposition. The thing that wants to shut consciousness down and prevent the evolution of any species, which is fear. I mean, this is so simple. It's like to have to say it over and over and over and over, but that's what it's all about. As we'll see, it's all about speech. It's all about the power of words, ladies and gentlemen. All about the power of words. Responsibility. Whenever we as a people hand over our natural law right to use force to create change, okay, to another individual, group, or entity. Again, force not being violence, being the ability to create change, to create anything, really. Force is required. A force is required, okay? Whenever we hand that away, because we don't want to take that responsibility, we don't want to do that work, we don't want to learn that information or that process, undergo that process. Whenever we hand it away to any other individual, group, or entity, we have abdicated our own personal responsibility. And responsibility is the foundational basis for the discovery and understanding of natural law. So natural law cannot be grasped. It cannot be discovered. It cannot be understood if we abdicate personal responsibility. Which means if we do not reserve all of our rights, keep all of our rights with us, say, no, I am not handing over a right and giving it to you and saying you can use that right in my name. No, I'm not going to do that. If we decide, yes, I'm going to do that, I'm going to abdicate this right, you can have it, I don't need it, I don't want to use it, I don't want that responsibility, that's abdication. Now, let's look for a moment at the word abdication, and I think things will become clear. Ab is a Latin prefix which means away from or negation, the negation of, not. Okay? And the second part of it is abdicate, D-I-C. This comes from dicto dictere. And that means to speak. So to abdicate is to stop speaking. It is to go away from speaking. It is to not speak. Think about it. We're talking about the power of words, as I've been getting into over the last couple of weeks, actually. This was a prominent theme last week, because this is completely connected with nature's laws. These are the laws of vibratory energy, the laws of the word. When we decide we are not going to use our voice to speak what we have discovered to be true, or not do that work at all such that we can't speak on what's true or not, that is the abdication of personal responsibility. And that responsibility means quite literally in the word, the ability to respond to any given situation that happens to come up on our personal journey of growth, meaning our evolutionary progression. If we do not speak these truths into creation, we lose our ability to respond because we have abdicated it. We have given it up. We have thrown it away. We have cast it aside. So ultimately, through that process of abdication of personal responsibility, we are enslaving ourselves. And responsibility does not mean I can make enough money to buy this or have this or take care of this other person. That's not what real responsibility is. Real responsibility is having the desire to seek and come to know the truth, the laws of nature, and the difference between true difference between right and wrong. That's what responsibility is here, and that's what responsibility is, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're here to learn. And the universe will keep just wiping this place out and giving us another chance in small pockets to get it right. It's happened many, many, many times already. Because we keep refusing and saying, no, we don't want that responsibility. Well, guess what? Nature's law isn't allowing us the chance to refuse learning what responsibility is all about. You have to take it. In that sense, that's where you don't really have free will. Your free will decision is only in how long are you going to refuse it for and continue to suffer? Or will you finally accept this, learn and grow from the experience, and then you can move on and do something else? And then anything's possible. Then you can make out of this construct that we call the material realm whatever you want, because it's all based upon the spiritual. And actually, they're really the same thing. They're one and the same. As goes the knowledge of spirit or the all spirit, the natural laws, so goes the physical domain. One is just the realm of manifestation and effects, and one is the plane of causality, but they're eternally connected and ultimately one at the highest fundamental level of consciousness. See, and that's part of duality itself, is thinking that these things are separate. And, we have to completely reject one in order to know anything about the other, and that's not the case. That's what the force of fear wants people to believe and accept, that these things aren't integrated, the spiritual and the material realms. Because it's all about free will. Whether we will accept personal responsibility to learn and know the truth and then put it into practice in our lives, or whether we're going to continue to reject that. And the people who have rejected it the most, and again, this is something people don't want to hear. They want to be apologists for people who lay down their personal responsibility and hand it to another and tell another person that you own me now. Yeah, you own me. I'm owned by you. I do your bidding. I follow orders. I follow commands. The people in slide number 14. The police and military, the people who are responsible for all of the human atrocities that have ever happened in the three-dimensional world that we call the earth. Mass suffering and mass executions and mass graves and all kinds of other human atrocities. You follow it throughout history. Just do the work. Get a long view of history by studying. And you'll see every single place where any complete human tragedy in terms of mass murder has ever taken place, it has always been done by military and police. Yet these people think that they're the people who are doing good. They think that they can do good by by other people abdicating personal responsibility to them. This is why this dynamic always occurs, for the very reason that responsibility is being abdicated. That's why nature's handing us this scenario and situation of police states throughout time. We as a people don't want to step up and take personal responsibility to protect ourselves. And you know how you do that? You teach natural law. That's how you do that. You teach morality. To the people who think that they're doing any good by being in the military or being in the police, I have this to say directly to you. You will never, ever, ever do anything that is good or orderly for society until you stop doing what you are doing and start doing what I am doing. I'm saying that directly. Stop doing your thing and start doing what I'm doing. Learn natural law and teach it. Right back. Okay, folks, last segment for What on Earth is Happening this week. I'm going to try to power through the last half of these slides, which are largely quotes from people who have something to say on the topic of natural law throughout history. Before we do that, I want to talk about one other concept that is in direct correlation to responsibility, and that is respect. When you look at the last slide that we were on, slide 15, and you see a human atrocity like this, do you think anybody that could have ever done this, any group of people that could have ever done this to another group of living sentient beings, had any respect for themselves? Absolutely not. Because, again, you have to go to the word. What does respect mean? Re in Latin means again, and specto spectare means to take a look at. So respect means to take another look at. And what you need to take another look at is yourself. If you are the believer in human authority, and if you are the believer that control over other people through coercion and violence can ever lead to anything that is truly good or orderly in society. There is something that you do not like about yourself and that is imbalanced within yourself that you do not want to deal with if you think those things. And in order to correct them, you have to be willing to take another look at your perspective, to change your perspective in life. Take another look at your worldview. That's what respect is actually all about. Regarding this creeping police state through the belief that control is ever going to bring anybody safety, Ben Franklin, one of the founding fathers of this country, said those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserves neither and will lose both. If that's how you think, you don't deserve liberty and safety because you have not understood anything about how natural law functions. And ultimately, if you persist in that state of ignorance, you're going to lose both liberty and safety. And slide 15 will show you what that'll look like. Gerald Massey, the Egyptologist, said that they must find it difficult, those who have taken authority as truth, rather than the truth as authority. The truth is the only authority. Human authority, there is no truth in that. We have to take truth as our authority. And that is getting to the understanding of how natural law functions. I can't continue to say that enough. The great researcher David Icke, this is one of his less known quotations in one of his earlier books, but it's brilliant. He says, accept responsibility for yourself and your actions, thoughts, and words. You alone make choices. You alone are answerable to the consequences of your behavior. The feeble excuse that your boss required it, the establishment expected it, holds no truth or justification. What is the point of even having principles if you allow others to dictate your behavior. That's abdication of personal responsibility. At the end of the day, you will judge your performance and the contribution that you made to creation. It will not be based on what another expected of you or what you did because you felt trapped. This is a big justification. Oh, I had no other choice. Oh, I had to do it for the money. Oh, I had to provide for my family. Oh, I needed the education. On and on and on and on. Endless justifications for immorality, for immoral behavior, for following the dictates of psychopathic madmen. Gandhi perhaps put it even in a more enlightening way. You assist an evil system most effectively by obeying its orders and decrees. An evil system never deserves such allegiance. Allegiance to it means partaking of the evil. A good person will resist an evil system with his or her whole soul. Let it sink in. Slide number 20, let it sink in. Read it over and over and over again if you have to. That's enlightenment. That's enlightenment. He understood it's more about what you are, it's more about what you need to stop doing. What you need to stop doing, the negative, the negation. That's what it's more about. It's more about pulling back and refusing to comply, refusing to obey orders and decrees of the system that is there for enslavement. It's so much less about new things we need to do. We need to stop doing things we're already doing that are immoral, that are unethical, that are false, that are not true, that are not based in principle. That's something that this great man understood more than almost everybody. Because through the abdication of free will and personal responsibility, that's how this evil system of domination that is depicted in slides 21, 22, and 23 is going to ultimately create their dark new world order, which is a prison planet, which is a prison society. Only through abdication of free will and personal responsibility can that ever happen. And think about what that means, ladies and gentlemen. That means all of their power is coming from the people who they enslave. They are granting it to these psychopathic controllers through abdicating their free will. And that abdication only leads to one place. And you can see that symbolically in image number 23 that has been locked by the masters. As we stated last week and the week before, ultimately, living in harmony with natural law and its principles leads only to peace, freedom, prosperity, survival, and evolutionary progress, while living in opposition to natural law only ever leads to control, enslavement, poverty, war, evolutionary stagnation in consciousness, and ultimately extinction of a species. And that is the bottom line. Those statements are true eternally and are never going to work any other way. That's how natural law functions in a nutshell. Those two slides, that's it. That's what you need to know. You want progress, you want prosperity, you want to survive, you want to grow, you want to evolve, you have to understand and live in harmony with natural law, period, the end. You want to ignore that and think you're going to prosper, the joke's on you. The joke's on you. Because living in opposition to all of those principles only leads to one place, and that's death. And this can be symbolically seen, this dichotomy can be symbolically seen in the painting by Alex Gray on slide number 26, which is called Gaia, the spirit of the earth. What's ultimately happening here? It's a choice. It's a choice between understanding the laws of nature or continuing to go along with man's insanity and control freak system. And I think it's very clear which side of the tree depicts which mental condition. Francis Bacon, former Grand Master of the Order of the Rose Croix, the Rose Cross, otherwise known as the Rosicrucian Order, in the early 1600s, said that nature, to be commanded, must first be obeyed. We have to know what nature's laws are and willingly choose to operate in compliance with them, in harmony with them. Otherwise, nothing but suffering is ever going to be created, and we're certainly not going to be able to command any of nature's functions. Max Heindel, another Rosicrucian philosopher, said that the best way to learn the secrets of nature is not by inventing instruments, but by improving the investigator himself. David Icke said, at its foundation, any guide to freedom needs a thorough knowledge of why and how that freedom has been removed in the first place. Without that, there can be no answers. And I would say, without that knowledge of why and how we're in this situation, through our abdication of personal responsibility and free will, there can be no solutions. Finally, Alfred Adler said, there is a law that man should love his neighbor as himself. In a few hundred years, it should be as natural to mankind as breathing or the upright gait. But if he does not learn it, he must perish. The golden rule is the ultimate law. We'll see you next week on What on Earth is Happening. Take care, folks.